Ever felt that heavy invisible weight pressing down, holding you in place? The world moves, people laugh, live, and achieve, but you feel stuck on pause. You see someone who wants and deserves more yet feels powerless. This inertia is a silent struggle we all know. It's a prison without bars, one you can't escape. Tomorrow repeats today, same thoughts, disappointments, and resignation. Seeing others wins, a voice whispers, "Why not me?" It's not laziness or lack of ambition. You have dreams, goals, and remember feeling lighter, but something shifted. Failure, heartbreak, or life's pressure chipped away at belief. Now you're trapped by the story you tell yourself. Not good enough, too late, world against you. You remain stuck, wishing for rescue. But no one is coming. Change must come from within, starting with recognizing the anchor holding you down. Today, we'll discuss cutting that rope and setting yourself free. Let's be honest for a moment. There is a strange comfort in feeling sorry for yourself. It's a warm, dark blanket you can pull over your head when the world feels too cold and demanding. When you retreat into self-pity, you give yourself permission to stop trying. It's not your fault, you tell yourself. This feeling is a universal trap, and it's dangerously easy to fall into. Everyone has felt its pull. It becomes a constant companion that justifies your inaction. It's an addiction, and like any addiction, it feels good for a moment, but slowly destroys your life from the inside out. The danger of this trap is how reasonable it sounds. Your pain is real, but self-pity twists those valid feelings into a permanent identity. It turns a temporary setback into a lifelong sentence. You start to define yourself by your hardships rather than by your potential to overcome them. What if this comforting lie is the single biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you want? That guarantees you will never win? Feeling sorry for yourself feels safe because it requires nothing from you. But winning, achieving, and growing require everything from you. Today we are going to dismantle this lie. Self-pity is a choice. Let me tell you about Alex. For 15 years he poured his heart and soul into architecture, climbing the ladder one project at a time. He turned impossible challenges into award-winning structures. Then, the ground beneath him gave way. In a single email, his position was declared redundant. He walked out of that office for the last time with an invisible weight of failure. Alex fell into a deep trap, self-pity. He told himself stories, feeling like a victim of circumstance. It was easier to be wronged than to figure out what to do next. Every opportunity was met with pessimism. He was becoming unemployable because of his mindset. Alex had designed the perfect prison for himself, forged from grievance and sorrow. The silence in Alex's house was deafening, filled with ghosts of his former life. He'd stare at blueprints, relics from a better life, tracing lines with a sense of loss. Now all he felt was the emptiness of his days. His family felt the change. Dinners became tense. Alex was physically present but mentally a million miles away. His wife's attempts to connect were met with weary sighs, routines crumbled, projects were left unfinished. His energy was consumed by self-pity. Social media posts felt like personal attacks. He was trapped in a loop of his own making. His best days, he believed, were behind him. The identity he had built had been stripped away, leaving a void. Self-pity became his new identity. As months passed, Alex saw the world through a cracked lens of resentment and defeat. A friendly call felt like pity, a networking event, an embarrassing parade. He assumed the worst, transforming opportunity into a hostile landscape. This warped view manifested in inaction. He stopped applying for jobs, convinced rejection was inevitable. He told himself the industry was against him, his experience a liability. He was preemptively surrendering to avoid the sting of rejection. His stories became self-defeating. He wasn't just unemployed, but a relic. His narrative numbed the pain, paralyzing his will to change. Lashing out at his wife's encouragement, he retreated into misery, blind to the truth. He held himself captive. He gave up on the world, failing to see his self-pity was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fixated on closed doors, he missed the open ones. Alex's self-pity started to cascade, creating cracks in every foundation of his life. His finances began to dwindle, draining savings meant for college and vacations. Each bank statement fueled his despair. The problem felt too big, so he chose to ignore it, letting the anxiety fester. His physical health deteriorated. He rarely left the house, eating whatever was quick and easy. He stopped caring about his appearance. Looking in the mirror, he saw a stranger he didn't respect. The most devastating impact was on his relationships. His marriage strained to the breaking point. His wife felt like she was living with a ghost. This is the insidious nature of feeling sorry for yourself. It actively dismantles the life you've built. It seeps into every aspect of your existence, your finances, health, relationships, and spirit. He was allowing everything he cherished to slip through his fingers, piece by painful piece. Why do we retreat into self-pity when life knocks us down? The answer is simple: because it feels good. Feeling sorry for yourself is an addictive form of emotional comfort. This comfort, however, is a poison disguised as medicine. It's the emotional equivalent of junk food. It satisfies a craving but leaves you weaker. Every time you indulge in self-pity, you reinforce a neural pathway that equates victimhood with safety. You stop seeing problems as obstacles and start seeing them as proof that you are destined to fail. The act of self-pity requires absolutely no courage, no action, no resilience. The alternative, taking responsibility and facing your fears, is terrifying. So we cling to the comfort of our sad story. But this protection is an illusion. It prolongs pain and keeps you stuck. It's a cage with velvet bars. The moment you choose comfort over courage, you have already lost the battle. Winning requires you to step out into the cold and find the strength you never knew you had. One of the most dangerous aspects of self-pity is that it hands you a blindfold woven from the threads of blame. When you feel sorry for yourself, your focus shifts outward. By pointing a finger, you divert attention from the one person who can change your situation: you. This blindfold of blame prevents you from seeing reality clearly. You start to see enemies where there are allies, and obstacles where there are opportunities. You are effectively navigating your life with your eyes closed, wondering why you keep stumbling. This mindset also systematically destroys your connections with others. Friends and family begin to distance themselves because your negativity drains their own energy. Ultimately, the blindfold of blame keeps you from learning the lesson of accountability. Every setback contains a kernel of opportunity for growth. It actively prevents you from engaging in crucial self-reflection. By refusing to look inward and take ownership of your response, you guarantee that you will make the same mistakes again. Here's the twist, the one big idea that can change everything for you. It's the core of the lie that self-pity tells you, and it's a lie that many of us believe without question. The lie is this: the belief that things can't change. When you are deep in the trenches of feeling sorry for yourself, this feels like an undeniable truth. You look at your job loss, your heartbreak, your failure, and you conclude that it is a permanent state of being. But honestly, it is the biggest lie you will ever tell yourself. The belief that things can't change is only true for as long as you believe it. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy of the most powerful kind. If you genuinely believe that your situation is hopeless and that you are powerless to affect it, what actions will you take? None. This is the paralysis of self-pity. It's not the external circumstances that hold you captive. It's the internal conviction that you are trapped. The world responds to action, not to waiting. It's waiting for you to make a move. The question is whether you are willing to change. The moment you decide to act as if change is possible, you break the spell. The truth is, things can change because you can change. For Alex, the turning point wasn't a gentle sunrise. It was a cold, hard slap of reality. His 8-year-old daughter Lily quietly approached him with a permission slip for a school field trip. "It costs $20, she whispered. For Alex, it landed like a punch to the gut. He looked at the unopened bills. $20 felt like $1 million. He saw the doubt in his daughter's eyes. In that instant, something inside him snapped. The anger wasn't directed outward, but squarely at himself. He saw with blinding clarity the pathetic comfort he had taken in his victimhood. The self-pity felt like a suffocating shroud. The ground had shaken from an internal earthquake. He was responsible. This realization was excruciating but liberating. He felt the hot fire of accountability, and it was the spark he needed to start fighting back. The anger didn't fix Alex's life overnight. The bills remained, and he was still jobless. But something inside him shifted. He looked at his daughter, managed a real smile, and signed her form. He handed her a precious $20 bill, an act that felt monumental. That choice, to show up as a father, was his first real step forward. After Lily left, Alex stood in his cluttered office, anger now fueling him. He grabbed a trash bag and started cleaning. Old papers, junk mail, all the debris of his stagnation. Each item tossed was a small victory, a declaration that he was done being stuck. He didn't overthink, he just acted, focused on one simple mission: clean the office. It wasn't about fixing everything, just reclaiming a little control. With every bit of progress, the architect in him began to re-emerge. Sometimes the smallest action is the hardest, and the most important. One gritty action creates the spark for another. The next morning, Alex got up and went for a run. It was brutal, but he kept going, driven by his daughter's smile and his own determination. The pain was real, but so was the clarity that followed. Later, he answered a call from an old colleague, awkward, but honest. He listened, reconnected, and took another step out of isolation. These weren't grand gestures, cleaning, running, answering the phone, but each was a vote for a new version of himself. Momentum wasn't about a single leap, but a series of small, gritty steps. He learned that motivation follows action, not the other way around. Do one hard thing, then use that energy for the next. The spark was small, but Alex was learning to fan it into a flame. Progress is built, brick by brick. Anger is often seen as destructive, but for Alex it became fuel. Self-pity had kept him passive, anger made him act. This wasn't blind rage, it was focused, a refusal to accept his own excuses. He used that energy to update his resume, to apply for jobs, to push past fear. Every rejection became a challenge, not a defeat. Sometimes you need to get angry enough to demand more from yourself. For Alex, his daughter's disappointment was the spark. He stopped wallowing and started fighting. Anger didn't burn his world down, it burned away his weakness. He used it to clear a path forward. Sometimes anger is the fire that forges change. Change didn't come in a tidal wave, but as a steady tide. Alex stopped waiting for permission to succeed. He built a new blueprint for his life. Small, daily actions, not grand gestures. He researched companies, tailored applications, and reached out for advice. Rejections were no longer crushing, they were data to improve. Afternoons he worked on personal projects, sharpening his skills and passion. He rebuilt confidence not with a job title, but with effort. At home, he reconnected with his family, present and engaged. The change wasn't about a new job, it was about finding himself again. He focused on what he could give, not what he'd lost. Life didn't get easier for Alex, it got real. There were setbacks, rejections, and tough days, but he refused to listen to the old voice of defeat. The victory was in the attempt, getting out of bed, going for a run, sending an email. Each effort was a rebellion against hopelessness. Resilience wasn't something he was born with, it was built, one try at a time. He learned that setbacks weren't stop signs, but lessons. His mindset shifted from desperate for a win to committed to the fight. In that commitment, he was already winning. The real victory is choosing to try again and again. That's how you build a new life, one attempt at a time. As months passed, the definition of winning began to change for Alex. Before, winning meant getting his old life back. The same title, the same salary, the same status. But through the daily process of taking action, he started to discover a new, more profound sense of victory. Winning was about who he was becoming in the process. Winning was the genuine laughter he shared with his children. Winning was the look of respect he saw in his wife's eyes. Winning was the quiet confidence he felt in his own ability to handle whatever came next. This internal shift was far more powerful than any external achievement. The real prize wasn't the destination, it was the strength and character he was forging on the journey. This realization freed him from the desperate need for a specific result. He was open to new paths, new ideas, and new versions of his future. The real win is in the person you become through your daily efforts. These are the true trophies that no one can ever take away from you. Alex's story is about an ordinary person who made a choice to stop being the narrator of his own tragedy and started to become the architect of his own comeback. At the heart of every struggle, you will never win if you keep feeling sorry for yourself. Self-pity is a prison. The power to change your life lies in the courageous decisions you make every single day. It's in the decision to face a fear instead of avoiding it. These actions are your declaration of war against the inertia of sorrow. So I am challenging you right now today. What is the one thing you can do to prove that self-pity does not control you? It just has to be a step. You are the one in control of your effort and your attitude. It begins the exact moment you decide to stop surrendering to your circumstances. The past is written, but the future is not. Stand up, take a breath, and take that first step. Your win starts now.